Okay. Very well. I'm gonna hold up for you. Okay. We're gonna hold the start here just a few minutes. We're waiting for the village administrator to return. He was in a meeting. I believe it was Parson Chesapeake Park. Just get a copy of this. It was just now. Oh. All right, you guys can go ahead and start. Scott's gonna be. You good, Stephanie?
I'm good.
All right, we're gonna call to order. Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for May 17th, 2023. Could we have a roll call, please?
Durstack,
Yes.
Swanson, Smith,
Yes.
Wagaman,
Yes.
Oakland. Absent. Okay,
We need a motion to approve April 12th minutes, 2023 ZBA minutes.
I have a question on them. Voting on 23/005. Says voting yay, none, voting nine, 4. Yet it passed 4-0.
oh. I just didn't put fail on it.
It didn't go through, and my belief is it failed last night at the village board meeting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I believe that failed.
The minutes are correct, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mhm. And same thing for adjourning. The Nobody voted yes, it passed.
We just have to update and say fails.
Typo.
Typo.
Live with that.
You know what that?
That's why we read them.
Five for a moment.
You know what, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. So did we have a motion?
I make a motion to accept it.
Well, I'll take it.
I'll second.
And roll call, please.
Copeland,
Yes.
Wegman,
Yes.
Smith. Yes. Flanagan.
Yes.
Gerstein.
Yes. Scott? Kevin? Okay, number 4 on the agenda, ZBA 23-007, design review for approval of an 8-square-foot urban chicken coop with an integrated 32-square-foot run at 9679 Merino Run. Is the applicant here this evening? Please come forward. Do
We don't have this thing anymore, do we? The board got rid of the thing, rid of the thing.
Do they sign in? I guess not. Okay. All right.
You don't need us.
Your name and I'll swear you in real quick, please.
Jeremy Morgan.
Okay. And Jeremy, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Go ahead, please.
Just wondering if we can get approved for the chicken coop. We have a daughter with special needs and she's doing 4-H, and this would be great for a project.
We're here to review the design and I don't have any design in front of me. I don't have any dimensions. Which one is this?
Oh, we had them all.
They're out. It's
Merino
the-
Run.
Yeah, that's it. There was a
Who's got this?
kind of a handwritten thing. It's
So with the coop itself is an 8-square-foot, and the run is 24 square foot. Or 32.
32, like
32, which allows, yeah. So this is their house, which is that there. That's where they're tucked right behind the driveway there. See if I can throw it up on the screen. Post this disabled screen share.
I was just, oh, I was saying.
Oh, the actual look of the coop itself, yeah.
Well, you guys can talk about that, but I'm gonna see if I can get Joe to let me share my screen.
okay.
Give us
So
the size again.
8-square-foot. It's yeah, it's.
Is it a commercial one you signed, built yourself, or
We bought it.
you're buying one?
We have it. We just aren't using it. We want to make sure we.
Got to do it first.
Don't have to have a photograph of it, would you?
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
Aren't we supposed to look at the look of these things? As part of this review?
Yes, that's why I was asking
Yeah.
for some idea what it looks like. So if we get a look here, we'll be good.
Okay.
Oh, I don't see it.
Oh, is it on your phone?
Yeah.
Invite, copy invite link. No,
It's. That's my daughter.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Did you see it?
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, something.
Okay, would you share it real quickly?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go. Thank you. It says invite, unmute, merge to meeting window. I go to my name on here,
That's the only question I had.
you know,
Pretty straightforward.
okay, let's navigate through.
We need a motion to approve then.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
It's just not an option.
Roll call, Stephanie, please.
Swanson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Wagman,
Yes,
Hoagland,
Yes.
Gerstack.
No.
thank you.
Okay, you're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way,
Number 5 on the agenda, ZBA 23-008, design review for approval of a 24 square foot urban chicken coop with an integrated 32 square foot run at 6497 Sutter Drive. And the applicant is here this evening. Hi, can we get your name, please?
Deanna Cabrera.
Okay, and you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Perfect, go ahead, please.
Okay, I would just like a chicken coop to have 6 chickens, so I can have eggs.
Questions from the board?
Is this a one you bought or one you're planning on buying?
One that me and my grandpa are gonna build.
See, we have some dimensions here that,
Yeah, Janelle, I think her name's Janelle, said that I could just draw it. If I don't have any pictures.
Is George, did you want her
that, well, at least we've got something here
to? Okay,
with dimensions on it.
yeah,
I can.
and Scott, I saw in your initial report there was something about possibly a bigger run or something, but this as.
for the purposes of this, we're sticking with ordinance right now, but whether you
Yeah.
talked about, you had suggestions about a larger run, is that correct?
Yeah, I was suggesting that just because I feel like chickens need more than that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think, and Janelle shared that with me, I think right now, I think we proceed with the understanding that this is sort of a unique application of the keeping of chickens. It's keeping of chickens in an urban, single-family residential
Yeah.
setting, not necessarily a farm setting. So there probably are some compromises made, but the way I wanted to approach it is rather than look at any individual instance of a variance, that from time to time we revisit ordinances anyway,
Mhm.
and information that you shared is insightful, and we'll take a look at it.
thank you.
Okay, need a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the chicken coop and 32-foot run.
Second.
That's something to add.
No,
Okay, Stephanie, roll call, please.
Hoagland,
yes.
Wagman,
Yes,
Smith,
Yes,
Swanson,
Yes.
Gerstack.
No. You're all set?
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Next on the agenda, ZBA 23-006, public hearing for a special use permit to allow construction of a multi-purpose community open-air pavilion, including live musical performances at 4562 Hononegah Road.
Good evening.
Hello,
I'd like
gentlemen.
to swear in the 3 of us because we all might say something or another.
Okay, we'll do it all at once. So you all swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Please go ahead.
thank you very much. We were here last month. We were before you on the special use permit. My name is Tom Green. I represent the township. We really have 2 applications tonight. The first is the late over application from April 12th regarding a special use permit for the way the pavilion will be used. The second is for a parking variance. With regard to the special use permit, we have submitted an updated site plan and can we get that up there? If we can, that's great. If we can't, that's okay. We have a drawing. We have provided a site plan which provides more detail. Last time around, Scott gave a positive recommendation, but he identified several items that he would have liked to have clarified. So what we have done is we've submitted a site plan which clarifies many of those aspects with regard to the site. We've also provided a written description of how we intend to use it, hours of operation, amplified music. So we have answered those questions. Perhaps the most significant one related to the amplified music. The rule of the township will be no amplified music. If somebody wants to get on the podium and just do something quiet, that's fine. If they want, so from a township standpoint, we will not do it. If someone wants to use the pavilion and have some level of amplified sound, they will need to come to the village and justify it and get a permit from the village. And the village will be able to scrutinize that, whether it's appropriate or not. So we think that's a good compromise. We won't do it. If someone wants to, they're going to have that approved by the village. So we greatly appreciate, and the staff report outlined in the materials shows that, again, we've received a positive recommendation, shows that we've responded to Mr. Sanders' questions that he had the first time around. If it's okay, I would like to address really both the special use and the variance. Is that all right? Or would you like me to? I mean, they're all kind of tied together and they're all on the same exhibits. I mean, I'll wait if you want.
I'll tell you what, why don't you go ahead?
Okay.
And that way we can have some questions, I think.
Okay, so with regard to the parking variance, we're requesting a 1-year variance from the date of the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. So we can't really start this until we know we can build it, and that's one of the reasons we're here on the special use. Once we know we can build it, we can initiate the bid prospect, the bid process, and get bids to build it and proceed with building. Will it be done in the fall or in the early part of the winter? We're not sure. It'll either be very late this year or it'll be early next year. Our 1-year parking variance won't start until you issue us a certificate of occupancy. The variance will help the village manage the development of this campus basically financially. To date, much of this development has been assisted by grants. We've been very fortunate. The township has been very fortunate to receive grants that has allowed this very good-looking campus, site to develop. But with the grants, you end up with deadlines. You have to build, you have to start and spend the money within a certain date, and there are matching requirements. So while it's great, it still has an impact on our financials. So the variance for 1 year will allow us to have better cash flow management with regard to the additional $100,000+ it'll take to pay that lot. We really look at the township and the village are both in existence to serve their citizens, and our citizens are mostly common. We believe that this development will be an asset to the township and the village. Again, we greatly appreciate the positive recommendation from staff. I'm happy to answer any questions, but what I want to do now is introduce Dan Saavedra and let him talk a little bit, and I'll hold that for you, Dan.
Okay.
Let him talk a little bit about the site plan, and then at the end, Bob.
And then from time to time, turn it and show everyone.
Yeah, I will. Bob Nowick will get up and answer any questions. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dan.
Okay. So I can move a little bit this way. This is Honolulu Road. The Robert Cross home is here. The community center is there. The proposed pavilion is going to occur right here. And this is 130 feet from the property line in this way. We have also all of the paths that are going to occur, recreation, walking paths, that are going to be including all of the grass that we are planting in that area. These 4 pictures that you receive there are going to, is an example of how those paths are going to occur after this grass is growing. This is the existing parking area. This is the area where we are requesting a variance for the parking to park on the grass. This is prepared from what we design today. We have space to go through here and there, and that is the additional parking spaces that we are requesting for that. Also the future drive is there because it was presented to you in the beginning. We have no intention of doing it right now, but you will have to show you exactly what we presented in the beginning when the community center was approved. The comments that were given to us by staff was to provide a handicap parking for this area, provide additional sidewalks around the pavilion, and also provide different landscape for the pavilion. So we have added a series of evergreens behind the pavilion to provide additional masking from the neighborhood here, as well as all of the tree line is going to remain. So we are not going to remove any of those trees. There is additional trees that are going to remain here in these areas, and we will increase that with evergreens. Colorado, we are suggesting Colorado blue spruce that are going to be in that location, and additional landscaping between the walk from the plaza that is going to be here to enter the Robert Cross home, and additional landscaping on that walk that goes to the Quonset house. So that pretty much is the answer to all of your requests on the site plan. And I hope we have answered all of the questions that you had. If you have any questions, we will be glad to answer them.
If you have any comments or if there's any questions, Bob's also here to answer those. He's the township, obviously, I believe most of you know, he's the township supervisor.
I can.
Bigger version of what we have.
Okay. I cannot read these things in 8.5 by 11, so.
Questions with the board?
I've got a couple, Jay. So the trails, the paths, and some of the surrounding grasses, those will be groomed or created with this proposal.
Yes.
This is kind of a side question, but especially with the farmer's market, has there been any thought to providing any kind of crosswalk connecting the path with the path across, I guess it'd be on the south side of Honeyga to the system ultimately, to let pedestrians kind of interact, especially with the farmer's market?
We would certainly cooperate with the development of crosswalk across the road. That's outside our jurisdiction. Perhaps that's in your jurisdiction.
Winnebago County.
Winnebago County, we would certainly cooperate with any efforts to do that, and we can talk to Winnebago County, or you can talk to Winnebago County, or we can both talk to Winnebago County. We'd be happy to see that happen.
Great.
Well, I know there's concerns about the music, and there's nothing amplified. At this point, somebody can come and request amplified
That's correct.
for a special use permit.
That's, well, it would be a special event permit.
A
That
special
would give us a
event.
chance to understand the type of music, or not the type of music necessarily, though potentially, but the type of amplification, the type of speakers being used. Expected hours of the sound. It would also give us, the village, the authority to sort of continuously monitor whether it's an appropriate application. If it happens once or twice and it seems to go off without a hitch, then we know that it's something that might be appropriate for the situation. If not, if we have a couple of requests for amplified sound and the village entertains that and approves a few, and there is complaints from the neighbors, then it's probably something we want to approve it. Especially putting that authority in our hands.
It is, and that was our desire. We want to take it, we're having no amplified sound. And most of the uses associated with the township will be public uses, will be, you know, senior events or meetings of people or whatever. If there's an occasion where the community center gets rented to someone who's having a party or having an event and they want to use the outside facility, the amplified sound, we'll say no. Unless you get a permit, you know, we won't let you do it unless you show us a permit from the village.
We would treat it similar to Leland Park shelter that's there. I guess we envision it very similar to that, surrounded by residential. And I guess I haven't heard of any complaints. I know people that live around there. Fall Fest is their big event, but yeah, we would believe you have the control over that event.
So far, the uses in the building have been received very positively. There's been very good attendance at some of the small things that have done their open house and then some other uses. But yeah, we're kind of off to what we feel is a good start. Just want to keep going.
And that back exit into Prairie Rose, forgetting what the little stub street is, but the street was dead-ended when it hit the property. It would be a private drive versus a street. You would actually have a gate of some sort there so that it's only open during events that we had going. So it's not going to be a cut through to save time cutting through Prairie Rose. So it'd be very limited. It'd be less used than, say, if this property had been purchased, the 17 acres for a housing development project, residential. So yeah, it's the increase in traffic, I think, would be negligible.
And this, what we are presenting today, is the maximum development that is going to occur in that property. So there is no additional buildings that we are planning to do in this facility. That's correct?
Correct.
Yeah, what you see to the north is going to remain open space, walking paths, nature paths. Come out, enjoy the grounds.
The Prairie Rose Drive, is that, Scott, is that something that's already been approved? Or is that yet?
Necessarily.
And this does not do that?
Right, it's identifying it as a future drive, and that would be contingent upon engineering review and approval.
We would, I believe, we anticipate if we ever wanted to put that in, we'd be back.
We have to be back here.
Yeah, we'd have to show it as a design development and then Scott would review it and then come here.
For those in the audience that have been not able to see the drawings here, they are up on the monitor now. And we're you can see this crosshair moving around. This central round rectangle here is the existing community center that's been finished. This is the new driveway up Hononegah Road that comes into an existing approximately 50-car parking lot that is sized to accommodate the requirements of the community center. This rectangle on the up to the side there is the proposed multi-purpose pavilion. I can scroll down to pictures of that in a second, but it is largely an open air kind of Gothic arch, glue lamp arch pavilion with an enclosed area for restrooms and some concession windows, I think. There is that is built into an existing stand of trees. It looks like they're proposing to build it, preserve existing trees on either side and plant evergreen trees on the back side. And thankfully, they have preserved the existing trees along the eastern property line to act as additional buffer. Since we're talking about both requests at the same time, if you look at the area to the west of the existing parking lot. That's where you see they have hatched in and dotted lines, still with the shaded green background. Their future parking. This has always been identified as future parking. But what we're doing now is essentially establishing a time frame that they'll be able to utilize that as grass, park on it as grass as needed for a period of 1 year. As Attorney Green stated, that would be a period, logically a period of time from the opening of the building, from the issuing of the occupancy permit, which of course we don't issue, the county will issue. And upon the conclusion of 1 year, they will have to have completed the new parking lot, or usage of the pavilion will cease. Permitted usage of the pavilion will cease. Or they come back and ask for something else, but right now I hope we're all agreeing to 1 year firmly. Associated with that parking is they referenced down here next to the Quonset hut, and between the Cross Homestead and the Quonset hut is some paved handicap accessible parking, and then some sidewalks that connect everything together, which were not shown previously on the site. So 2 matters before the board tonight, contemplating the use itself of the pavilion to the special use permit, which again, by their new bylaws or rules of governance, will not have any, it will not be certainly integrated amplifying sound. You're not building speakers into it or anything like that. And any functions advanced by the township will not have amplified sound. And if a private renter wants to have amplified music, they will have to apply to the Village of Roscoe for a special event permit to do so. But that, you know, that needs to be in your rules, like, because that wouldn't necessarily.
I mean, you can't make it a condition of the special use.
Perhaps we could, yeah. I'm just saying, under our ordinance that governs special event permits, it doesn't rise to the level because you're holding it on your own private property, but we can make it probably a condition of the special use.
Yeah, I mean, I'm belt and suspenders, you know, we'll put it in our rules, but if you make it a condition of special use,
There you go.
it's okay with us. Yeah.
This gives us governance over it anyway.
Well, it gives you the option to enforce it.
Any other questions we can answer?
Regarding the parking, you've not asked for variance on curb. I assume you're gonna have curb and gutter on the proposed initial phase. Except for probably the portion you may expand in the future in the 1 year.
So the existing parking lot has curb and gutter everywhere, except for, and we did design review on this community center and parking lot a year or 2 ago at this point.
Yeah.
It does have curb and gutter everywhere, except for the line that
We are expanding.
the expansion for this exact reason. We allowed them not to put curb and gutter there with the anticipation the parking lot would be expanding and they'd just be removing it. And that's how it exists now. The interior islands and the rest of the perimeter have curb and gutter, and our expectation is that the remainder of the parking lot would have curb and gutter as well.
Our expectation is to comply with the requirements.
The detention, was that built out fully or will that need to be expanded for the?
The detention will be, I have to verify with the engineer, but I think we did that in accordance to that expansion. If it's not, we will increase the detention area to allocate.
We're not certain that it contemplated all of them purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all along the southwest and curves around a little bit.
Are there any other handicap parking spaces other than those two?
The main lot has handicap.
The
parking.
main lot has handicap spaces, and when we expand the property, the parking lot, those will have also handicap parking spaces. Actually, we'll have to trade some of those because we may have to convert some of these into handicap and replace those in that side because the handicap has to be closer to the doors.
Thank you. Requirement is 1 stall roughly until it gets really big. It's 1 handicap stall for 25 parking spaces. They have a 50-car parking lot now. They have provided 2 handicap spaces in accordance with ADA regulations. And actually, if they build to this full build out, we'll make sure that the 2 they provided here are sufficient. Looks like it might be 50. No, it looks like probably, you know how many
It's
cars?
approximately the same thing, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'd probably do them right in the front row, right next to the two that are already there.
Ordinance, for everyone's
We have 56 additional parking spaces that could be added into that grass area. So we need to maybe convert some of the sites into.
Ordinance require an additional 32 spaces.
Yeah.
So you got it more than covered.
Melissa, anything?
No.
Brad?
Might have some interest in parties.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody like to come up and speak to this issue? Please come forward.
Well, while we're doing that, I'm gonna show some pictures of the building, okay, too, as well.
Is there a sign up sheet up there now? Scott?
No.
No. Okay, can we get your name, please?
Janet Block. I
Okay.
live
and-
in the Hononika Heights Forest Preserve. I know I came last month. Just a couple
Swear you
questions.
in real quick. You swear to tell the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Perfect.
I know I came last month, a couple questions where the walking path is in the back. Right now, there's still that entrance where the trucks and stuff were coming in. Are we looking at putting a gate up there so people are not driving in and out of there onto Francis and Dell?
What is that?
Yeah, that's going to
That
be
won't be,
closed.
that will be completely closed off.
Yeah.
That's purely construction related. That'll be completely closed off.
I mean,
Okay,
there shouldn't be any vehicles driving in the prairie.
okay, because I know the
They're
walking
walking
path
paths.
goes back that far. That's what we were asking.
There's a field access into it still, is that correct?
Yeah, where the farmer used to cut in, yeah, there's a spot there.
But that will not be an opportunity for anyone to exit. Ingress or egress, no way.
No,
Okay, because our street is so narrow there in Francis, and I'll give an example. I was talking to a neighbor the other night who was concerned they were out. The fire department was just out checking the hydrants and stuff. He went to go down on Francis, had a hard time getting around the fire truck because our road is narrow. Will we please be able to put up no parking on the roads so that if a fire truck, an ambulance, or even our own people in and out of the subdivision can. We know people hopefully will park in the parking lot, but people like to park along the streets too. You see it at all the different activities and stuff, and it's just a concern.
We intend to provide more than the parking required, more parking spaces than required. There should be absolutely no need for anyone to park along that road. And we'd be happy to have the ability to put up no parking signs. Totally up to them.
Let me just point out, it's the township's road. It's not the village road.
Yeah,
Township
we're,
road.
yeah, we're a township.
I'm sorry.
So the township would self-govern.
I guess the way I look at it is, if a problem occurs, then we can react to it. I hate to put up no parking signs on that street and then cause the residents who currently live there
Right,
be bottlenecked into their driveways. So if
Yeah.
it becomes a problem, we would appreciate seeing you back at our township meeting and we can address and I don't see a problem doing it, but I just don't want to put up signs and then hear from others that say, now I can't park on the street.
if you have a family reunion or something and people want to park, your family wants to park in that road.
sure,
With that sign, they will not be able to park there.
sure.
So I think if a problem occurs, we will react.
Okay, that's great. And then also, I know at the meeting, I think it was last week, you talked about taking out some more trees along Francis Lane. Especially, I think the buckthorn. And now tonight I know you're leaving some of the trees, so are we still taking out trees on Francis Lane? Because they were talking about it at the township meeting that you wanted to take out all the buckthorn trees and
Well-
all the down trees, and that's kind of a barrier to the subdivision, so we're just asking.
At the township, I am one vote. I'm for leaving the trees. And now if they're diseased or neglected nuisance trees, I'm all for getting rid of those. Buckthorn, I mean, that becomes a problem for our mowing equipment. So, that I haven't a problem getting rid of. I think it's the black locust that are a big problem creeping
Okay.
into the field.
Will you replace those so that there is a barrier if you take a bunch of them down? I don't know what type of trees are there, but from the meeting last week, it sounded like they were gonna be trees taken down there, so we were just wondering.
Well, there was a motion passed a year ago to have that done by the excavator.
Okay.
The excavator is now gone and actually no longer in business. So we would have to get new quotes to do any kind of work like that.
And that's
Okay.
certainly a topic for you to comment with public comment and
Okay.
raise it at the township meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There was another gentleman, please come forward.
My name is Glenn Summers and I live on Prairie Rolls Drive.
Okay, excuse me, it was Clyde,
Glenn,
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 Yeah.
Summers.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Perfect, go ahead.
The only thing I don't understand is why they want to put an entrance going through a popular area when they have all that frontage off of Hananiga Road. They could go back, have another entrance going into that parking lot. You know how many kids play in that area? A ton. When I'm cooking on a grill, you know how many kids I've seen learn how to ride a bike there? And they are gonna cut through. You have a concert and they forget something, they're gonna cut through there to go to Schnucks. I guarantee it. But they got all that land right off of Hananiga. And I'm your guy's UPS guy up here, so I see everything. So you know what? They can station a police car just like they do down the street for the schools when everybody's exiting. But there's no reason for them to go through a residential area, which is super quiet. And is that a public road?
It is.
It is. Okay, can I tell you something else? You guys don't plow it. Garden on Prairie Roads plow it.
There's a combination of public and private roads. Some are plowed by the village, others are plowed by independent contractors.
No, this is plowed by the apartment complex. And they don't get paid for it. So, and if they run out of parking, are they gonna park on that street where kids are playing? I mean, honestly, you're gonna direct traffic through a whole subdivision when you got the whole Hananiga Road to put another interest in?
All I want to point out is that that drive is not approved and is just shown here as a future drive that has not been approved. And would be subject to a whole nother approval process, evaluation. It's not something that we've even had a chance to think about, to be honest with you.
Okay,
So it's not part of what's being proposed tonight.
but that's how I feel.
No, that's,
I mean, you're going through a residential, but you can go off a main street. So, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
So the entrance off of Hananiga to the parking lot was designed by road engineers and such. Is there a possibility that another entrance could be in, or would they be too close to each other?
the Middle County Highway Department would have to approve the second access point.
We'd have to look at that. The other thing is, I think there could be a little bit of a misconception on how big these events are gonna be, and there isn't gonna be necessarily a huge amount of cars. I mean, let's say like at the end of a concert or something. Possibly ever when the high school lets out.
I mean, I guess there could potentially, in a worst case scenario, be upwards of 100.
And this is a band. There's not really gonna be concerts.
Right. Yes, someone back there.
Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Donna Beaumont.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Certainly.
Perfect, go ahead.
I live in the Prairie Road subdivision, and I live on one of the roads that abuts the other property. And since the building has begun, I can see all the way through to Hananiga Road, because there used to be a nice barrier there, so I miss that. I'm concerned about noise. And I'm concerned about the extra activity in our area. If some of these tree barriers and so forth aren't put in as planned. It seems like every iteration of this project has gotten a little bigger and a little more and a little more paving and for that. So I'm just concerned about how big it's going to get and how noisy it's going to get and how active it's going to get. Thank you.
Thank you. Your name, sir.
My name is Scott Eggy.
Okay, and you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Perfect.
I do. I live on Violet Walk, and so I'm just going to reiterate what my neighbor had already expressed, that that's a quiet drive. There are kids that are up and down that. There are elderly that walk up and down that area. I realize that, there's nothing that's been approved yet to allow that throughway to happen to the space. But I'm just going to continue to echo what others have said. We oppose that. And it's just going to bring more traffic into the area that was never designed for that. Part of the reason I live there, I pay rent there, is because it's quiet. And I don't have to deal with traffic going back and forth and all those other types of things. So I feel like there are safety issues, there are parking issues. I realize you guys haven't made a vote on this yet. But we want to be sure that our voice is being heard in opposition along a throughway of Violet Walk into the property, especially when there are alternatives that are clearly available to be able to use egress ways, getting out, getting in, flow of traffic. And just ask that the board consider that and consider our requests. My request. Thank you.
Yeah, my hand waving.
Please come forward.
My name is Sharon Townsend, and I also live in Prairie Rose.
Sharon, do you prefer to tell the whole truth and nothing but?
Yes, I do.
Please.
And when the gentleman said that they would be planting extra trees and please do not plant blue spruce. They are not indigenous to this area. They get a fungus and they die from the base up. It's even happening in Chicago. They're not indigenous to this area. And as they start to die, they pretty soon become skeletons and there's nothing but dead trees. So please consider planting trees that are indigenous to this area. Thank you.
Please come forward.
Kelly Winterland, property manager over at the Gardens on Prairie Rose. I think
Kelly, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
I think I echo what our residents are concerned about. It's the noise, amplified or not amplified. Special use permit for special occasions or not. Those are right in the backyards of a lot of our residents who are retired and are enjoying their retirement. Again, about the kids playing in that area and extra traffic. We already have all summer, we're chasing people away with mopeds and scooters and dirt bikes that come through that property now. We're constantly trying to put up signs and stuff. And so we already have that traffic coming through. So now who else is going to be cutting through onto our property? So we submitted something in writing, and I'll just go the bullet points. I don't need to get into details.
I want you to know everybody has a copy of that.
Yep.
Has reviewed it.
Yep, and then, the noise concerns, the traffic and safety issues, misconduct from the patrons that are using the facilities. They're very close to our property and our bordering, our border. And then police presence. What about damage? Times, hours, lighting, I know we heard a little bit about lighting, that was an issue. What time do events go until? Is that going to then bother our property or other properties? So that kind of in a nutshell is what myself and a lot of our residents have right now. That's about it.
Go ahead, Bob.
I'd like to answer because it was in the paperwork, and then also Kelly just mentioned dirt bikes, ATVs and mopeds. I'm not aware of any of that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It happens a lot.
So I haven't seen any signs of it on the property since we planted the prairie. I was just out there last week with the biologist. I guess if whatever direction they're coming from, if it's township or the village, I guess.
Yeah. It's an example of how people can get to our property.
They go down prairie roads and cut through the fence.
Well, it should be harder once we've
Yeah.
done the stuff we're doing there. Should be able to control it better.
I mean, it would not have been stopped before we bought the property for the township. Any more than it would be now. So we'll have a gate there so that private drive, if and ever that comes. I mean, that's a total separate issue from tonight.
Right.
We're not getting approval for that right now. We just wanted to show that as a future exits if we had issues getting out on Hononegah. So it's a totally different issue than what we're here for.
There are two entrances going up a Hononegah. One on the east side of the house and one by the pavilion on the west side.
Well, there's a Currents and the one that we installed for the community center.
Right,
Right, there's two.
there are two off a Hononegah Road.
Correct. There's the one that the farmstead had originally.
One, you want to point out, they've asked about hours of operation. I don't know if that was addressed. There's been some questions about hours of operation. I don't know if that was addressed in your presentation, if you want to.
I didn't say it, I didn't verbalize it. It was submitted in the materials. We
Yep.
submitted, I think it's 9 o'clock on every day of the week except Saturday. And that was 10 o'clock. Again, no amplified sound coming out of anything we're sponsoring or we're doing.
Says 7 days per week, 8 AM to 10 PM for general public use. Including picnics, birthdays, outdoor weddings, family events.
Oh, it's interesting. It self-contradicts if you look a little farther down. It says,
I thought it was 9 o'clock on
Oh, it does go, a caveat.
Dawn is our scheduler and she's
On
happy
Friday
to
and Saturday nights, 10 PM on Thursday. Okay, so weeknights ending at 9.
Right.
Friday and Saturdays 10.
If you want to swear Dawn in, she can address that. She's sort of operational.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Man?
Yep.
Okay. So. As some of you know, I wrote the grants for this, for both the little projects here. And to address the music thing, the grant administrator says, oh, list as many activities that we can have as possible that'll help your application go through. So some of us come up with, oh, but gee, we could do music in the park. I would like to take that back. We are not talking about having concerts. We're not talking about having Old Settlers Days. The township itself can't afford to throw a concert, okay? But I don't want to limit myself to hours. We don't have any idea what's going to happen here. What I envisioned was when we get this thing complete, you'll be able to tour the historical home, maybe attend an event at the community center, see the farm equipment display in the Quonset, and see a little music in the park on a Sunday afternoon. As a community type, that's why it's situated all in one corner, as we were sort of looking at the, like your community center, downtown kind of a thing. We're not going to be throwing big, huge parties. If someone were to rent the pavilion, which anybody can, and they wanted to have music, we're going to have it in our rental policy that they have to come to you guys and get a permit. I don't see that there's ever going to be some sort of thing where.
Why don't we just say no amplified music ever? Why bring it back to us? It's your pavilion. You're in control of it.
We already have that in our rental policy with the community center. And we left a space for the pavilion, knowing that was up and coming. I don't know what the decibel limit is without a permit.
I'll speak that real quick. There's not a permit that's specific to decibel levels or anything. It would be. So there's not. the level of sound isn't what triggers a permit requirement. There is ordinance that allows a maximum decibel level to a certain time. But as we have, again, I say famously encountered in this village in the past, introducing that in proximity to residential, there's the issue, right? That's what we're talking about, sound next to residential. I'm just staff, but I think George's recommendation is a sound one. While I'm talking, I want to just clarify one thing, Don, because 2 lines in your usage plan somewhat contradict. I just want to confirm, because it says the pavilion will be available to rent 7 days a week from 8 to 10. But then later you say weeknight, let's see, musical events would be scheduled during the afternoon or evening weeknight hours ending by 9 p.m. or earlier. Friday and Saturday nights ending at 10 p.m. or earlier. So that a separate set of hours for musical events? Or is it?
No, I'm just figuring if it closes at 10, we should start running them out at 9. Just a scenario there, but did I put 10 p.m. for
But music went in at 9. But if somebody lingered there, they would stay till then.
I struggled with being able to attach hours to this because we're 2 years away from this ever happening. So, right now we just want to get the darn thing built. And
We'll figure it out now, though.
yeah, I understand. I certainly do understand that. Yes, I certainly do. But I don't, like I say, we as a township do not have money to have these events. If we were having something at the community center and we had a couple of volunteers that could play some acoustic guitar, I think I'd like to do that. I don't think that would be very loud on a Sunday afternoon, but I don't know.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anybody else want to come forward?
I also live at Prairie Road. My name is Fran Drews.
And do you swear to tell the whole truth but nothing but the truth?
One of my concerns that hasn't come up with your special use permits of any coastal things. Is there ever going to be a liquor allowance? Because I really oppose that. Our neighborhood comes about this far from the fence, and then the pavilion is right there. Is there not another place for that pavilion? That's very close to homes on that fence row. I mean,
The community center can have liquor, is that correct?
So the events in the community.
We don't have a liquor license. We don't intend to get a liquor license. Somebody rents it and gets a caterer who has a catering liquor license, then there would be the only possibility.
so who polices that activity?
So there's 2 different ways they could have liquor. It would be if, as Attorney Green said, if someone catered an event there and someone held a caterer's license, a state issued caterer's license, they could have liquor be part of a package. If someone had a birthday party or a family reunion or a wedding, have liquor. There are specific restrictions to when a caterer's license is valid or applicable. Essentially, only when the alcohol is sold in combination with food at a preset package price. For example, you have a caterer coming in and you want to have an event for 100 guests. And they say, all right, here to have food and drink, it's going to be $47 per person. So it can't be like a cash bar type thing. But that's what a caterer's liquor license would allow. The other option would be to ask for something called a Class T, which is a temporary liquor license. If they wanted to have an event out there and they wanted, let's say, Poison Ivy or Firehouse Pub or Louis Tap House to come set up a temporary bar, they would have to come to the Village of Roscoe Liquor Commission, which is essentially the village board, and apply for a Class T, which means temporary 1-day liquor license. They have to review the scope of the event that was being proposed to see if it was appropriate to issue that license. For example, that happens every year at Fall Festival. The Village of Roscoe issues a Class T license, and there's a beer tent in Leland Park as part of Fall Festival. It happens at Mud Volleyball. We issue a Class T liquor license, and one of the local purveyors, one of the local license holders sets up a little beer tent and sells beer during that event. So there's a few different special events where someone gets a temporary one-day license to sell alcohol. Someone would have the right to apply for that out here. But the board would review the application, scope of the event, determine whether it was appropriate.
My other comment is the prairie roads that you're looking at accessing is essentially a block long. That will be a bottleneck for traffic. That will not be a smooth exit. You'll go about a block, you'll have to stop, and you'll have to go on to Blue Stem to go back out of the subdivision. That's not a good use of our street. We have elderly that walk there, we have children that play there. That's a peaceful little street, and it's not meant to be a thoroughfare.
Just so everyone knows what we're talking about, if you look up at the monitors, what is proposed, get back to that. What is shown here is a dashed line coming out of. Take this back. Bear with me. What's shown is this line here, right, coming out like that.
Right.
I'm gonna go back to the aerial photograph and show you what that would connect to, since we have two different exhibits here. I'm gonna new share.
Coming out at that fenced
Correct.
area is about a block.
So that would. This is, using this tool is new to me here, so. But that future drive they're proposing would connect right there. And then navigate out through Violet Walk and Blue Stem and any of the access points out to the to Honega Road. And to reiterate, that's not something that's been submitted previously for review. This has not been given any contemplation by our village engineer. This has not been contemplated by any review authority yet. I think for the purposes of this, we should assume it does not, it will not exist.
I hope not.
Maybe it shouldn't be on. Yeah.
I think that would be a very poor choice.
And so I think the board should be evaluating this proposal, not contemplating that future drive as part of it. That the access exists to Honega Road as shown here, and that any attempted future access to Honega Road may be further west on the property, but looking at this, I'm not a traffic engineer, so this is dangerous to speculate, but looking at the spacing between existing drive at the Quonset Hut, the new drive going into the community center, or Francis Lane, I don't know if that feels tight, that there would be third one granted right there. That's a lot of access points onto a unregulated access points onto a busy road.
It might help you to go out and walk from that gate area to Blue Stem and see what you're looking at, because it's not terribly wide and it's not long. But you would have a backup of traffic if you allow them to use it that way. Thank you.
Bob, on a sidebar, it's obviously a concern with this access point. Is that, I haven't physically gone there and looked at that. Is there a gate there now of any type?
Yeah, there is
Split rail fence.
the street, just dead ends. There's not a cul-de-sac. There's nothing but I don't know.
Is it just these guys at the end of that?
The split rail fence along there.
And as Scott notes, years and years and years ago, when that subdivision was put in, they stubbed that into the open field because that open field could have developed into more apartments, could have developed into any number of things. And I think the last, Scott, I think the last review from a month ago mentioned, is there a possible alternate ingress and egress in case of an event that has a lot of cars. So we put that on there. I try to address that.
Understood.
It's certainly not something we feel strongly about rushing forward and building.
We priced that in when we were doing the community center, and it's too expensive for us to do that.
Was there any other questions or comments from the public? Nothing? Okay, we're gonna close the public hearing then and move on to board discussion. Anything else? Guys, Brad?
But, you know,
Yes.
point I brought up is this. They're complex, it's their pavilion, why are we regulating amplified sound? They're saying no sound unless they get a permit, just leave it in no sound.
What I think we want to do with the special use permit for the community building is to have the condition that you talked about of no amplified music. Does that solve that?
It would, I think that was some of the concern
For you, yeah, what I questioned, amplified music, what if there's a speaker that wants to have amplification? Do we need to draw that distinction? Is there a better terminology that wipes out amplification at all, or does this do that? I know you're.
I think whether it's a spoken voice or music, a speaker is a speaker, amplification is amplification.
Okay.
It's not a huge space. Someone could stand there and speak, but they're speaking. It's smaller than this room, and everyone can hear me.
Okay, so would you guys be good with the condition of amplified music? Yes, I am.
That's one thing we need to put in there.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the special use permit to allow construction of a multi-purpose community open air pavilion, including live musical performances at 4562 Hononegah Road with the condition of no amplified music. Period. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And roll call, Stephanie?
Swanson,
Yes.
Gerstack,
Yes.
Smith, Spegman,
Yes.
Vogel.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna read through the variance real quick, but they've already addressed it. ZBA 23-009, public hearing for requested variance to a parking lot design standards waiving surface paving and curb and gutter requirements for a defined period of time at Hononegah Road. 4560 Hononegah Road, and that has been established as 1 year.
From certificate of occupancy. Basically 1 year from when it opens. It opens, they have a year. They have a lot.
Can we get a motion to approve?
When what opens up,
The pavilion.
the pavilion, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
In reality, it's less than a year because of the seasons. From a practical standpoint, we have to deal with winter, you can't pavement, so. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
You good, Stephanie?
Vogel,
Yes.
Wagman,
Yes,
Smith,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Gerstack.
Yes,
That's just something.
go ahead.
Just, I wanted to let everyone know here, this is the first, this is not final action, it's a recommendation. So this is the first in a sequence of 3 meetings. Actually, it's the second because it got laid over last month. But this will now move on to the committee of the whole for further deliberation. That's a different group of people. Those are the elected officials. That will be on Tuesday, June 6th. It will then move on again. it will get some kind of a vote coming out of committee of the whole, and ultimately move on to the village board Tuesday, June 20th. We publicly advertise those meetings, of course, but you will not get the same mailing. That mailing goes out just for this public hearing, so keep those dates in mind, 6th and the 12th.
I think it's good that we give them the dates out. Every time, since there's no notification. But everybody clear on that, needs to go to the village board, committee of the whole, they'll discuss it.
The process that you just witnessed tonight, both of them, and you'll see 3 of them tonight. The next one coming up are some map amendments, which are changes in the zoning, special use permits, variances, and map amendments, changes in zoning. Those are all processes that are governed by state statute, not our own rules. And every municipality in the state of Illinois will follow the same process. The first step in that process is conducting a public hearing, where we invite the public, we run the ad in the newspaper, we send out notices to surrounding property holders, often called legal objectors. Those public hearings are almost always held at a zoning board of appeals, a planning commission, as some communities may call their body. That body makes a recommendation on to the board of elected officials, and the process continues through, as I just referred to, committee of the whole and village board. So that is the sequence that something like this moves through. It's rules established by the state that we of course follow.
Okay, number 8 on the agenda, ZBA 23-010, public hearing for a map amendment from commercial retail district to commercial general district, property commonly known as 11076 Main Street. Is the applicant here for that?
This guy's Attorney Green again.
But I'm here again.
All right.
There may be an accident going on.
Yeah, let's give him a second to clear. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so I have a problem. Let's get
Green.
Thank you. For the record, again, I'm Tom Green. I swore me in previously, so I acknowledge I'm still sworn in. I'm the attorney for Mr. Nelson. He is the applicant. Mr. Nelson is purchasing this property contingent on having a zoning change, as we've requested here. We're requesting a rezoning of the property from CR to CG. We very much appreciate the staff's positive recommendation. It is Mr. Nelson's intent to move their family business, which is currently located at basically the northeast quadrant of 251 and Rockton Road, just to the north and slightly to the east of where the interchange is there. That's where their current operation is. And they want to relocate that down onto this lot. I would note that the Nelson Imports has a 5-star rating on Google, 40 or 50 reviews on there. There's several other rating agencies, all of which were 5-star. Very positive comments about the quality of the work and how customers are treated and the rest. So I point that out because it's important to know that they satisfy their customers and that they do a good job. This location will be for service and sale of automobiles. We would be small in the concept of the sale of automobiles. In other words, there won't be 20 or 30 car lot here. We're talking about a few cars. I don't know, 2 to 10, 2 to 5, depending on fluctuations. probably more ancillary to their primary use, which is they'll have several service bays. There's a picture up here that's not cast in stone, and we will have to come back before you in terms of our ultimate site plan and building design, but you can get an idea of what they're looking to do based on that picture. We believe this development will support and benefit the surrounding retail area. We envision that customers may look to shop. You know, you drop your car off, it'll be ready in an hour. They can walk over to the shopping areas, utilize the retail, and then come back at their convenience, whether they have a sandwich while they're waiting or shop at some of the other locations. I would also note that the CR shopping area is mixed use in terms of there's financial advisors in there, there's bank in there, there's hair salons in there, there's dental offices in there, there's business offices in there, mixed in with restaurant and commercial uses. So we think this will be consistent with uses that currently exist. It will diversify the neighborhood and provide service to those who live within the village of Rockland. Once again, once we get the zoning, and then as a result of getting the zoning, close on the purchase of the property, that's really step one. We will have to come back to you with our full development plan, show you exactly what the building will look like, show you exactly what the landscaping will look like, show you exactly how many parking spaces we anticipate for customers for the service, customers for any sale of automobiles. We believe this will significantly increase the property taxes that will be generated and will also generate significant sales tax for the village. So we're hoping you'll look favorably on the zoning map amendment change from CR to CG so that we can move forward with acquire the property, then come back to you with a development plan. I'm happy to answer any questions. Ryan is here, his wife is here. This is a 3-generation operation. I think his father's still involved in the business. Ryan and his wife are involved in the business, and Sean and Emily.
Emily's not here.
Emily's not here. Sean's here. So it's a family operation. They get great, like as I said, I've utilized them. They're a very good operation. So
Where's your current location?
what's the address?
13628 Metric Road, over by the Auto Museum.
The Metric goes north off of Rock. But it's just a driveway or two north, and that's right.
We've been in the area for almost 15 years total.
Thank you.
What are your common types of service operations that you would anticipate?
As far as what we do exactly?
Yeah.
So mainly what we do is general service, and we specialize in import cars strictly. So whatever service would be as far as brakes or oil changes or whatever kind of mechanical work the cars would need. So general auto repair, but specialized to imports.
Are you guys currently retailing used cars? Is that
Correct. Yep. And we do have the licenses with Roscoe. Like I said, we've been in the area for almost 15 years now.
Questions? How many cars do you have for sale currently?
I think we have probably a total of probably 8 or 9. So we have a small lot.
Scott, how does this fall into place as far as our recommendation? They don't purchase the land ultimately, then this all goes away. Are we opening up commercial general?
Absolutely. If you're saying if we approve this, as I mentioned in my report to you, making this change does pave the way for automotive uses in the property. And it was, if they didn't like, chose to not go ahead with the purchase or someone else bought it, it would forever be available as a
Well,
automotive use.
and other uses as well.
This would change the zoning to CG.
That's one of the bigger jumps, one of the significant changes from commercial retail, sort of self-explanatory to general, is the inclusion of automotive sales service.
Most of
One of the
the,
more prominent changes from those two zoning districts.
and obviously, anything allowed in CR is also allowed in CG. There aren't that many extra things.
This has to do with the automotive use.
Because I've had, if you don't mind me saying, as I've said before on some map amendments we've done. Because right now, that's what's before you. We don't have a site plan yet. We have an image of a building. So it will, if you think that sort of the general indicator of a building and your understanding of the use as described is appropriate, then it will all come back under design review. And once again, as we would always do, we'd have some opportunities to attach conditions to that approval. Once we saw a site plan, we could see what was allocated as exterior sales area and have some control over that. Fully commercial, so obviously it's going to comply with landscape ordinance, and those are all components that would come before you at a future date. But that's what you have now is sort of the visual indicator. That's what we have. So,
And our general outlook on this is to make it fit the location that it has, so it's not gonna be what normal people would think of an auto repair shop. It's gonna look more to fit the area than industrial, I guess you'd say.
And
It's our
and
outlook
again,
on
we'll
it.
show that to you in the design review plan and have you hopefully be happy with it.
This replace the other building? Or will you keep both of them?
We'll have to give some designs, bring forth the designs for it. I don't know as of yet. I would guess that most likely the size of the new building would probably replace the existing building. Just because of the size of the lot and the setbacks.
And your hours of operation, I'm assuming.
Typically, we are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Any other questions? We're happy to answer.
Would anybody from the public like to speak to this proposal? Please come forward.
yeah, right.
Sharon Columbia.
Okay, Sharon, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please go ahead.
I'm a little bit concerned about the fact that I do not believe this type of a business is compatible with what already exists in that area. They mentioned the shopping center. That's just one snapshot of what is really on Main Street. There's a lot of people who have purchased places on Main Street, who have improved them, invested a lot of money in commercial retail business. And just recently, there's been 2 buildings added to that list. And I think that by adding this commercial general, like you spoke of, it's only going to open a can of worms. If for a fact, down the road, they decide they do not want to be there any longer, sell the property, who knows? There's a lot of things under that commercial general zoning that could go in there. Everything along there at the present time is commercial retail or still residential. There are 4 residential properties adjacent to this property. And I just don't think it's fair to the people that have existed in that area for years. We've always tried to maintain the feeling of promoting commercial retail along that. And that seems to be happening now. So by putting something in there, commercial general, even though, what they're trying to do, I'm sure, is good, but I just don't think it's a proper zoning for that area at all. I think that's one of the mistakes Roscoe's village has made from years past where we don't plan our zoning, we do a lot of spot zoning, and all of a sudden we have a mess. I was told years ago that that was supposed to be a comprehensive plan for zoning there, and that that area was going to be all commercial retail. And I don't know where that's going to what's happened, but I am concerned about the fact of where this would go. And that's the reason I just really don't believe that that's, you know, bad word, that coin. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Good evening. My name is Jim Rodriguez. I'm an attorney with Guyer, Niken and Rockford.
Jim, and do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm here tonight on behalf of Telegraph Road LLC. Telegraph Road is a neighboring property owner. They own Main Street Square, just to the west of the property. My client wanted me to attend tonight and express his opposition to this zoning change. His main concern is that it's not consistent with the retail nature of the area, not only Main Street Square, but the shopping center across the street to the south, a couple parcels away. And there's some retail property, vacant retail property is owned across the street that may inhibit, this type of use may inhibit the potential development of additional retail over there as well. Main Street Square has, over the past 5 years, had a resurgence. It's nearly fully occupied. Just don't want to see anything that, we feel is inconsistent with the retail uses there, hamper that at all. Specifically with the zoning change, like it's been spoken about already, you're kind of opening up to numerous uses that could happen in the future. With respect to this use, planned use specifically, we would have concerns about whether there's any outdoor storage, obviously with the cars that are for sale, there will be, and whether any repair vehicles will be stored outside as well. I know those are probably some things that you could, deal with on design review, but those are some concerns that my client has as well. So yeah, mainly, my client's concerns is just fitting in with the characteristic of that part of Main Street, which we feel is a retail, retail in nature, and that this really isn't consistent with that use. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that care to have comments? Nothing?
Okay, my neighbor. Obviously I and have to advocate for my client. I truly believe this is a consistent use for and matches the uses that are within the area. I mean, I've been up and down Main Street many times, but I took the occasion to drive it again tonight before I came here. There is a wide variety of uses, manufacturing facilities to gardening centers to various other facilities, and the retail shopping center is, I would be surprised if it's 50% retail. It's, again, I mentioned this earlier, there's 2 dental facilities in there, there's a financial advisor in there, there's a Pilates studio in there, there's a hair salon in there, providing service to their customers, just like we want to provide service to our customers. And again, I think there's an opportunity for someone to come into our place and say, hey, we'll be done in an hour. Why don't you walk through the backyard and have a pop at the restaurant, or, go to Benny's, or, or go shop in some of the shopping centers there. There's a business facility there. I think State Line Chambers there as well. So there's quite a few different uses in the quote unquote retail center. And there's quite a variety of uses along Main Street. And I think this would be a good use, obviously, and I would for you to consider that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing for discussion.
We're just dealing with the zoning change, not dealing with what the building looks like, or where it's gonna be on the property, or how many cars they can have, or anything like that.
I was pointing out, you're dealing with the zoning change, so it's an understanding of what the business will be.
I think it provides another service in this area, as Attorney Green mentioned. You can get some cross traffic and a little more generation. Retail drives other retail. I think it obviously it's got to be done right, but I think there's an opportunity to make something unique here with architecture, landscaping, things like that, that could make it really fit.
Well, there's also the glass company there that deals in automotive glass and they look nice and they've been there for a long time. I think of it in that mode. They have cars sitting out. They've really made it look nicer over the last few years, though.
They're right up here. They're a little bit to the north. They've done an expansion.
I'm thinking similar.
Melissa's point, here's the Roscoe Auto Glass up here on the map. We approved in addition to that 2 years ago.
Roscoe Glass is an excellent example of job well done as far as commercial general goes along Main Street. Fortunately, there's no guarantees that another place would do the same. And then I know we've talked about the spot zoning. I'm not sure this falls into that category necessarily. This one's a tough one for me because I don't want to see a run down, cars not running, parked out. On Main Street, I think our vision for Main Street is something more than that. However, that being said, there's no reason to not expect that it won't be high standard. Very nicely kept. And I think we can address that at the design review in more ways. Later, we give them a chance to get in. So are you guys ready to vote? Everybody's happy? Okay, we need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. And roll call, Stephanie?
Swanson,
Yes.
Wagaman,
Yes.
Hoagland,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Durstock.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 23-011, public hearing for a map amendments from the commercial retail district to R2.
This is.
Two-family residential district for a group of 4 properties commonly known as 5459, 5473, 5487, 5501 Hockey Park. And is the applicant, oh yeah, I thought I saw you.
I don't think you guys have these, so look up to the monitors. This is the,
It's on the other one.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, Greg, give me a second here just to orient. These are the 4 cluster of 4 lots, Hodges Running Main Street. It's just up. Right down here's the lot you were just looking at, right? For the map amendment, this is just across the street, up a little bit. Here's the site plan that's proposed for those 4 lots. It would be a driveway access off Hodges Run and a cluster of 4 duplex units. Again, this is zoned commercial retail. The owner and the applicant, Mr. Powers, the developer, are jointly asking to rezone this to two-family residential. We have this cluster of 4 duplexes. These are the same units built behind Mary's Market, Compass Rose, is that correct? Yep. Which, look, essentially, these are exhibits shared at that time, but roughly duplex units such as this. Okay, with that bit of background, I can toggle back and forth between these as you wish. Sorry, Chairman, it's yours.
All right, go ahead.
Right, Powers.
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes. So yeah, our plan or proposal will be just to rezone this to R2 and develop it into 4 duplex units. So 4 buildings, 8 units. They would be identical to the buildings that you see behind Mary's Market in Roscoe. Which right now there's 5 buildings there, 10 units.
All right, board.
It's a pretty straightforward.
We stayed away from any 2-story, multi-family type stuff, made this look more residential,
And
single
that
family.
is the driveway coming out onto Hodges.
Yes, originally we had it coming off on Main Street. And we changed the layout to come off of Hodges Run.
The driveway would come in off Hodges running in, and there'd be units here, 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 and here.
And if you go look at the ones Compass Rose, we've done a ton of landscaping, a lot of trees. We do the same thing here. Probably trees all on the driveway.
Freshly installed over there too.
Ultimately make it like its own little community. We'd probably put pine trees along Main Street, all along the backside of those homes there on Hodges Run.
Questions, board?
So again, if you're looking at, so that you see the rectangle of the 4 property clusters, right? I'll go back over now to the proposed development picture. Hodges Run is the entrance into the subdivision. And that's what we proposed. Coming in off Hodges Run, angling the private drive, angling back towards Main Street, but not connecting through to Main Street. The 4 duplexes.
And right now, the current sewer and water come right down the middle of the property. So we split the building so that we can utilize that existing sewer and water that's there. The only difference is we probably replat it to one piece of property instead of 4 individual.
If this would be rental property.
Yes.
Correct.
And right now, Compass Rose, all units that are occupied, which they're all occupied, everyone's 50 and over. I mean, it's very quiet, peaceful. It's a little higher upper end scale, so we're paying higher end rent. So I think we would probably get the same thing here.
Guys.
Parties. Just call bridge parties.
I got a quick question. Was this part of the original subdivision? When the subdivision was platted, or were these just parcels that were outside of that? I'm just curious how these parcels were, how they formed this years ago.
Take me a second.
With the subdivision with the intent of being retail.
No, it looked like it was always platted to be retail. But certainly it was configured here. I'll share the plat. Doesn't designate zoning on it, but it's this, with this cross utility easement access and some of these not having frontage. I think that was always tended to be. And I don't see any record of a previous map amendment, so it was always.
It was platted with that subdivision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was there any interested parties that would like to come forward? Sir, please come forward.
I made it too old. Lost a lot of body heat when they left.
Hello, I'm Jeff Schoening. I live at 5588 Hazel Close.
Okay, Jeff, you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Do.
Perfect, go ahead.
I'd like to summarize the neighborhood. Just Run. It consists of 37 single-family residential lots and 4 commercial lots. There are a total of 35 single-family homes with lots 15 and 16 combined and lots 36 and 37 combined. Thus, there's 35 homes. The original design of the neighborhood was to have semi-custom and custom homes with no two alike. The 4 commercial lots were to be used for soft commercial, such as a doctor's office, something down that line. And it would not then detract from the home values of the substantial investments we made as homeowners. We love our neighborhood, our neighbors, the sense of community and the pride of our ownership. Allowing 2-family homes to be built on the entrance to the subdivision would alter the character and overall design of the original neighborhood. It would also tender increased traffic. The Hodges Run sign and entrance is at the corner of Main Street and Hodges Run. Allowing 2-family homes on the property would include them in the neighborhood, which is not with the original design standards, CCRs, do not allow for 2-family homes in the subdivision, only single family. We have a copy of the plat. I'd like to submit that. The owners of the real estate described and attached the plat desired to create a residential and commercial subdivision, and that's not a plat, by the way. That's can't think of the name.
Yeah, this.
Yeah. With common areas for the benefit of the owners of each of the lots in the subdivision. The owners desire to preserve the value of the lots and to maintain the common areas. The original restrictions go on to describe only single-family homes with minimal square footages, 1-story, 1,500 square feet, bi-levels, 1,400 square feet, and 2-story minimums of 1,700 square. So in essence, most of the residents in Hodges Run have been longtime residents. I personally built my home 25 years ago. I pay a considerable tax on my property, a little bit over $11,000. So that tells you that the value of that home is substantial. And I want to preserve the value of the home without it being denigrated. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Sir?
Can I say something?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So each one of these units are approximately 1,500 square feet, and each unit we've created to be a different look or unique. Each unit is a different color, and we decorate or design the exteriors of them to look like they're single-family homes. They're not all the same color. They're not all the same style. They each look unique to one another. And I would feel that it would draw a lot less traffic in duplexes than a doctor's office type of service industry. We're not going to have lights up exterior like light posts or any of that stuff out there. So I would think that it would be much more peaceful, private than any type of doctor's office or insurance company or whatever.
Okay.
Needless to say, we'll probably have a way more landscaping around the facility than any type of commercial property. Less parking lot.
All right, we have a couple more speakers, I think, and you certainly have another opportunity to speak. Sir, you wanted to come forward, please?
Hi, I'm Paul Graham.
Paul?
Paul,
And do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, Paul?
I do.
Go ahead, please.
We live at 111. Neighborhood. It's a tiny little neighborhood with one stop sign. That's it. I mean, you've got one on Main Street and one on whatever that other street is there. But it's two cul-de-sacs. Area. As the previous speaker mentioned, these are nice homes that people have invested a lot of time and money into, to include landscaping, things like this. What you see there now are strollers and bikes and cars of the people that basically live in that small neighborhood. The example that you had up there earlier showed a similar house with sidewalks. We don't have sidewalks. If we had sidewalks, taxes might make more sense here, but we don't. I'm sorry, we don't. So you've got really traffic made up of the people that live there, and it's safe and it's slow and it's quiet. People own their own homes. I can't speak generically for rental properties because everybody's different. Every renter is different. But I've lived all over the United States. And in my experience, there is a difference between rental units and where people own their own property, not just in pride of their property, but in terms of what do I want to say? Feeling responsible for their property. They want it to look good. They want the values to stay up because they sell it at some point. All these things, and that isn't necessarily true with rental units, that you do have people coming in and coming out. Could be awesome people coming in and out. Could also be not so awesome. And if anybody's ever lived in apartments, there's a lot of not so wonderful people that you encounter from time to time as you're going through. As the previous speaker mentioned, it was zoned as part of the same neighborhood for soft commercial. And that property is that empty lot has been there forever. I don't believe there are not other uses that fall in line with the original intent that could be done there. I know years ago I looked at the cost of that property. It was incredibly high, in my opinion. It was incredibly high. So I'm not sure if that or there's some other reason that the type of commercial buildings or businesses that they envisioned never came. But you know, you're talking about putting another entrance. You don't want to put them onto Main Street, I guess, because you don't want all that action on Main Street, the stopping and starting. That's what I assume is the reason they're not going onto Main Street. So instead, you're talking about putting something on Hodges Run, which is just again, it's like a 1.5 block long street, and you know, increasing significantly the amount of traffic in that area. I don't think was the intent, and I don't think that it fits with the current neighborhood and the people that live there. You know, will they build that up someday? Yeah, they may, but at least build it up according to the intent. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I want to just interject on behalf of the village of Roscoe, whenever people bring up property taxes, I feel compelled to point out we're about 5% of your property tax bill.
So you've seen those bills.
All right, did we have any other people that care to speak? Please come forward.
Sorry, I'm just gonna get my progress.
Yeah, one of 11 taxing bodies on that bill, by the way.
It doesn't make it hurt less.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Hello, my name is Caroline Pratt. I live on Hodges Run.
And do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please go ahead.
So I'm a newer resident. I've only been there about 5 years. But as stated earlier, there's been people who've been here since the neighborhood began, building their own homes from scratch. And a lot of the homes here were show homes as well, open to the public to kind of showcase the neighborhood. So as said before, there are semi-custom and custom homes in there. So as Greg mentioned earlier, that if they had the townhomes painted different colors to try to not seem as alike, I feel like if a building structure is the same and you're just changing the color on it, it's not going to be fitting with the neighborhood. It's not going to be custom or semi-custom and kind of fitting with what we've all paid money for, you know, and building our own homes and building our community. So I just wanted to. So otherwise, I echo everything else of all my neighbors that they said before.
Thank you.
Also, you do that. Stan?
I'll just mention, I wanted to quick check the plan so people will reference how long it had been there. It looks like it was planted in 1994. I think you have another one back.
Yeah, was, oh, okay. Let's come forward.
There you go, sideways thing. Name is Louis Walden. I live on 5524 Hatchet Way.
Okay, and you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please go ahead.
I'm very concerned about the property that I own, the property value. I'm concerned about the children of the community. I also have experienced certain things back in the past about when you own a property and the wrong individual gets into your neighborhood. I believe that a lot of the people that you see behind me here been in this community a hell of a lot longer than I have, and they have spent a substantial amount of money in keeping the property up, making sure that the community stay with a high value. And I do try my best to do the best I can to hurt the community, not to encourage any individual to come to our community that is the wrong person. In other words, I'm talking about low income type of person. That all you're gonna do is destroy instead of fix. When you have a duplex, you cannot guarantee anyone who you're gonna rent to. You can't guarantee that. You also have to guarantee the quality of the building of the property. That's another thing. I had experience with this before, and I don't want to go through this again. I know this gentleman, they own the property. He's a fine man. He's a wonderful person. But that is not who you have to worry about.
you have to worry about the individual who rent that facility, you know, that property. When you rent in anywhere, you cannot go from high quality pay to Section 8 type of people. And I don't know if you guys experience anything like that. I have. And I really disagree. And building something that you cannot guarantee what's going to happen in the future. And we are concerned about our properties. We are concerned about the children that live in my community. I am Mr. Chrisman and I love children. And I don't want to see anything like that. You know, anything can happen by getting the wrong people in the area that actually perhaps don't belong in property rights. If he can guarantee that the people that he bring into those condominiums is a quality people, I got no problem with that. But you have to remember, once you change the system, to get it back to normal, it's not going to be pretty. Okay? It's going to be a hell of a fight. And that's just about impossible. The main street in here it's not a residential anymore, it's commercial. And this property is connected to the commercial avenue here, what used to be Highway 51. So I'm very concerned, and if he can prove, and if he can promise us that he only bring quality people, I will be okay with that. But other than that, it's unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there? You're welcome to come back up.
Just
please.
Just to follow on, I agree with his point. But I think just to clarify, you know, regardless of income, regardless of color, regardless of height, for short people like me, okay, it doesn't matter. There's good people and not good people all over. The problem is with the rental situation, again, people are there, they are temporary. They don't necessarily have that investment in their area, in the neighborhood, in becoming part of the neighborhood. You know, he mentioned, you know, doing things for the neighborhood and trying to keep it welcoming. And for anyone that doesn't know, his property is right there. And if you are ever out in our area at Christmas, you cannot miss his property because it is a showcase. And brings a lot of people for a period of time around Christmas through our neighborhood, but in a very nice way.
Is that you? Well, that was the
No,
previous gentleman.
That's it. That's not me.
Congratulations on that. By
Yes.
the way.
Yeah.
Make a point every year going over there.
But that's just an example. And then he's infected his neighbors and they're all doing it too. And I'm over there, oh, hell. Putting something out. But anyway, yeah, it's directly across basically kitty corner from the area that you're talking about. And just, you know, do they need more rental properties in Roscoe? Because people want to come here for the school districts and things like that. Yeah, they probably do, but that's not the place for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please come forward.
Jennifer Temple, live on Hodges Run.
Okay, and you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I just wanted to add in response to you made a comment about, our businesses versus residential, you'll decorate it, that sort of thing. As far as the soft commercial, doctor's office, dental office, whatever, those close, at a business hours, typically not open on the weekends, that sort of thing. So that's one thing that we would consider. I think that would be important to a lot of us is that, you're putting in residential homes, that's that much more traffic. If you're putting in, would you say 4 of them, 2 apiece? That's that much more traffic already added to a road that, because it goes from Main Street to Second Street, is already used as a bypass. A lot of times, we live right on Hodges Run. I have 3 boys. The entire time we've lived there, we've always had to worry about people already coming through, get behind, off, Second Street. You're adding that many more homes with the entrance off of Hodges Run, that would just increase that concern all the more. And then again, like I was saying, sorry, why am I shaking?
I felt the same.
Yeah. Businesses, I know, I don't know why you're shaking. But when you add a business in, like you said, we would know that like a business is closing, we know what their business hours are. They're typically, dental office, doctor's office, those kind of, it's not like they have 30 cars at one time. It's we can look at the dental and other soft residential businesses around here. It's a few cars at a time. It's not that busy. So if you're going to add that many more residents to that piece of property, it would just add that much more congestion and concern to the neighborhood. So, thank you.
thank you.
Oh, hey, somebody got it back.
Is there anybody else that care to please come forward?
I actually just have a couple of questions. Jana Beck, I also live on Hodges Way next to Mr. Christmas.
Okay.
And
Janet,
I'm sorry, yes.
Please. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You had mentioned, and I'm surprised to see that the way the buildings would be on the lot, that the back of the buildings would be facing Hodges Run. Okay, so the least attractive part of the building would be what you would see when you drive onto my street.
Well, original proposals to put trees all along here
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask, because you had mentioned
All
on
along
Main
here.
Street,
and all along here, all along here.
but generally when in the buildings that you're talking about over behind Old Mary's Market, when you see the back of that, you see air conditioning units, you see the slider, you see the deck, and you see anything else people want to put outside. Be it play equipment, be it grills, be it, whatever it is, there's nothing regulating how that will
You
look.
do now, but there'll be a fence there in about another week that'll hide all that. But we certainly wouldn't want to put a fence along there. I think trees would look way more appealing than
Oh.
a fence.
Right, oh, you're talking about the properties
Yeah,
over,
Compass Rose will have a fence across the
okay,
way.
because I just feel like you're putting the least eye appealing part of the whole development that would, what I would see when you drive home every day. And I'm not sure how you regulate what sits outside of someone's apartment. I mean,
We regulate it. You're not allowed to have anything out. They all have 2-car garages with storage units off the side of the garage. So nothing's allowed there, not till they have trampolines, pools, nothing, no dog fences. But there's absolutely nothing allowed outside. And I don't know, maybe people are getting a misperception of what we're building, but these are all very high-end duplexes. They're all irrigated, they're landscaped, everything's paved.
which is fine. My concern is that when I see them, that's not what I see. I see air conditioning units, I see part of people's lives outside. We all do it. Just saying, I thought for sure that the buildings would at least face Hodges Run and not the opposite. So that was my question, is what
And
that's
as far
gonna
as
look
the
like.
entrance, I mean, if the village is okay with it, we can always bring the entrance out to Main Street. It's not that it's not an option. I guess when I look at it, all your traffic's gonna be from here to here. That's not even, you're not even entering the subdivision at that point. The homes start from this point on.
I've lived there 27 years. Yeah, I know, but it's a narrow street. our streets are not in good shape. I mean, we've got. That's a whole separate.
That's another meeting.
That's. I just want.
On the list.
Yeah. We've been on the list for a long time. Long time.
It's a long list.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my concerns. What is it gonna look like from Hodges Run? Because we are the people who are most impacted.
And I understand that. We would, like I said, landscape it. And as far as air conditioner units, you see those on the sides of houses.
I know.
It's just typical throughout the whole subdivision. Air conditioners,
But they're
gas meters.
not always visible from the road. I mean, mine isn't, you know, so.
And we
Anyway,
can-
that's all I had.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Greg, any final comment? No.
One quick one.
Okay, please come forward. And you're still sworn in.
Okay, I guess in reference to the traffic that will be going into the subdivision, and like he specified, they'll be turning around and going back. They will not. I have lived in that area over 40 years. I've seen it all developed. And I live just down the street, and trust me, everybody now uses Hodges Run, like they were saying, from Main Street to Second Street as a shortcut. And I live just across the road there, and I try my best never to get on that road. Because there are a lot of children out there. There's no sidewalks, the kids are close to the road, and it is not conducive to this kind of thing, but I'm stuck with it, I guess. But the thing is, I know for a fact, I practiced to take my wife on it, that these people will not turn around to go back to Main Street, down the elevator and back out again if they're trying to get over to Louis Tap House. And that's another thing I witnessed also, since that's all been developed in there, since the liquor license in the shopping center that were never supposed to be there. Those people come out of that shopping center, Main Street Square, they cross Main Street at like 11, 12 o'clock, go into Hodges Run, take it over North Second to the bar. And I am out and about at a lot of strange hours, and I see this, you know, on a general basis. So as far as saying, okay, there's not gonna be a lot of traffic into your subdivision, we can't say that, because people will take the shortest route there. Yeah.
All right, we'll close the public hearing now. Greg, any final thoughts?
No, I just feel though, whether it's multifamily or light commercial or retail, you're gonna have that same traffic problem no matter where.
Yeah.
No matter what goes there, you're gonna have a traffic. And honestly, I feel myself that these duplexes are attract a higher upscale clientele. Like I said, everybody in the ones at Compass Rose are 50 and over. We go through a software called door loop. They have to do a background check, credit check, and they will tell us or approve these clientele. So we run it very professional. We accept nothing but Class A renters, and we will continue to keep it. They're very expensive to build. They're expensive to maintain. And the last thing you want is people in there destroying them.
Right. All right, thank you.
It's 50 and over?
No.
No, I'm just saying,
No.
the ones I currently have, everybody in there have tended to be to this point, an older clientele. The ones I have over behind Walgreens and Edgemere are all young. It's our 2-story.
Okay, board discussion? Anybody? Tell us your feeling. Let's see, you have something to say.
No, I don't. I'm thinking
Oh,
about it.
I've got a question. This might be right there, Scott. So this soft retail that I've heard times now, is that a special section of CR, commercial retail code?
It is not.
There's a host of retail uses that could go in that CR zoning, correct?
There's not a I think I understand what the intention is by saying that there's probably a desirable low intensity use. To be honest, that almost sounds like it more translates to CO, commercial office. But it is on commercial retail, and so there's no further restrictions upon that than there would be in any other commercial retails.
I mean, who's to say, I guess, retail that goes in there stays open until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. You got light posts, traffic. Till 9, 10 o'clock at night.
I think I agree with that. My only issue is again, the zoning along the corridor itself. Being commercial, trying to maintain that character. That's where I'm kind of split. I think what's proposed is nice quality. It would be a good transitional use perhaps, but there's really not an opportunity for that along this corridor. And I think the commercial is probably the best, especially in this area, still the best use for it.
Thank you, Ryan. The board all saw you read the staff review for the property that came, I don't think we have it here, but it was emailed. Okay. George, anything? No. All right, we need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the zoning change from commercial retail to multifamily. Two.
I'll second it.
George, second. When you're ready, Stephanie.
Smith,
No.
Wagman,
Yes.
Swanson,
No.
Durstock,
No.
Hoagland.
No.
Thank you, Greg.
Yep, thank you.
Coming in.
So Greg, this still does follow the same process that I outlined before. This is a recommending body, so this will move on to the committee of the whole.
Okay.
But it will move on with with a failed recommendation for approval.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any? Any old business? Get a motion to adjourn.
Durstock.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
Hoagland, Wagman.
It's your Rusty.
Thank you.
Right.
Oh, no.
Not a long, just but it's long.
That's what they're.
I didn't get your phone calls.
That was great.
I was surprised how many people came to, because usually when people get the mailings, I start getting a lot of phone calls. People getting their vans up right away, and then did not happen, so they came out. But it was it was interesting, it was kind of split, between kind of one group and it's
Agent Brown.
But you don't control.
I don't know how he got it.